Good morning. On behalf of the Seattle Betsuin Buddhist Temple, welcome to today's service. My name is Leonora Clark, and I'm the service chairperson this morning. Because we're using videos, the Sangha may remain seated throughout the service today for optimal viewing of the screen. Please pause and reflect during the ringing of the konsho. Following the ringing of the konsho, we'll be chanting Jusege on page 21 of your service book. The text will also be projected on the screen.
Namo Amida Betsuin. Namo Amida Betsuin. Namandav, 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 Namandav. Chanting of Jusege on page 22. 21, I'm sorry. Gagon shosegan ishimu jodo shigan fumanzok seifu joshogak gao muryoko dai seshu fusai shobingu seifu joshogak gashi jobundo myosho chojipo kukyo mishomon seifu joshogak ryokujin shonen joe shubongyo shigumu jodo isho tenninshi jiriki endaiko Ushomu saido shoujo sankumyo kosai shuyakunan kaihi chiegen meshi konmoan eisoku shoakudo Tsudan shumon koso jomanzok iyoro jipo nichigam shujuki 天言不言、一種解放像、公正功徳法、上大主従、説法四式、不用意細仏、不足習徳本、観念心上慢、得意三害を、女仏無下知、津田未不詳、願学営利、都市最小尊、志願や国家、大戦の感動、国書天人、東宇珍妙家、ナマンダブ、ナマンダブ、ナマンダブ、ナマンダブ、ナマンダブ、ナマンダブ、願にしくどく、平等聖祭、道本母大神、法上安楽。ナモ阿弥陀仏。ナモ阿弥陀仏。ナマンダーブ、ナマンダーブ、ナマンダーブ、ナマンダーブ、ナマンダーブ。
Please join me in reading the Golden Chain, which will be projected on the screen. Oh, I'm sorry. The Gatha today is its festival day, and the lyrics will be projected on the screen.
It's festival day. We will gather friends all along the way and bring fruits and vegetables for the shrine. Like Mogayana
Please join me in reading the Golden Chain. I am a link in the Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my light bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that on what I do now depends not only my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in the Buddha's golden chain of love become bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Nam. Reverend Matt May will now deliver today's Dharma message.
Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 Namanda. Good morning. I am, well, first off, welcome to July. We're in the last stretch before Bonadori. This is exciting. I am today going to talk about another aspect of my life and how it has informed Buddhism for me. Hopefully I can make some connections to this. It's about playing guitar. I guess you can probably use music as an analogy for all of this, but I specifically, like, guitar has been such an important part of my life for so long that I start to see these little connections, and hopefully I can make them for you today. All of us have come to Buddhism in some way or another. I think a lot of us in this temple were born into the tradition. And I was born into guitar. It was something that my father played from, before I was born. So one of my earliest memories is, an acoustic guitar that at the time was as tall as I was. It was always sitting in the living room. And I actually don't even know what my father's own religion was. My family was never very religious. Like, we would occasionally go to Christian churches. Like, my grandparents are Unitarians because they weren't Catholics and there was only one other church in town. So I never really understood sort of inheriting something, a tradition from someone, until I realized that it was the guitar, that it was music. When my father and his 4 brothers would get together, I have photos of this, like kind of every family reunion, they would all get together and play bluegrass music. Now, one other detail that's important about this is I grew up in Massachusetts. It's not really known as a bluegrass capital of the world. So I also don't really know how we figured out that we were going to play country music for guitar. And also growing up, I really didn't like bluegrass music. It just felt wrong to me because I wanted to listen to rock and roll. So when I was about 10 years old, my grandmother was about 57 years old, and she was convinced that she was going to die when she turned 58. Spoiler alert, she lived another 20 years after that. But she gave us all our inheritances early, and I got just enough money to go out and buy my first guitar. So my dad sweeps me off to buy my first guitar. We buy me an electric guitar and some fake books. So like basically sheet music for playing sort of modern rock and roll songs. And that was kind of that was my Dharma school, right? That was the beginning of all of this. Now, like, how many of you have picked up a guitar? Like, just taking the first few lessons, so like handfuls of people. It's just that one little thing, or even like a ukulele. Like same idea. You have this. You start off with this thing that feels unnatural to you, and they go, okay, so make your fingers like this and put them on the bottom 3 strings. That's a D, right? Everybody remembers D. Okay, second one, you're going to stretch your finger out to the other end of this, and that's a G. right? This is a G. You learn the first handful of chords, and then from that, you get to start to piece together little bits of things, and you get to play songs that you've never heard of before and you'll never play again. But you're just getting the feel for it. And that's kind of the beginning of this. This is, when you're teaching your child how to say Namo Amida Butsu, right? And they're 2 years old and they can't get the words right, so it's just I've heard so many little children that learn this, but they're practicing, right? And playing a guitar is awkward at the beginning. It never feels right. You're always trying to just pick things up and perfect it. And we come and do this, like this is rehearsal for us. Right? We are coming in so that we can hear this message, to learn a message, to hear a different kind of tune. And eventually it starts to become kind of second nature. And then as you grow up, they go, okay, now try this one. Who has learned the F chord? That is the first gotcha in guitar. Right? Because now you have to take this whole finger and touch all of the strings at once, and then you have to use the other 3 fingers, and it just feels like, I could never possibly do this. Like, how would you put this into a song? This is like torture. And then once you get further along, you realize that this is like the most basic thing, the second most basic thing that you can do with a guitar. So we learn the things that become more and more difficult as we advance through Buddhism. And if it were just as simple as like, these are the Four Noble Truths, and this is the Eightfold Path, and we've got these down to number. It's just like music has been boiled down into chords, right? We have little simple things that you can learn and understand, but you never fully understand them until you start practicing them, right? How am I going to turn this into a song? How am I going to turn the Eightfold Path into a way of living? And another aspect of this is that there are so many different kinds of songs and so many different types of music. And so once you have learned the language of music, once you've learned to play a certain instrument at a certain level, you get to start to understand what the masters have taught. Right? We talk about the 7 masters. We have a scroll of the 7 masters in the Hondo. We are always trying to teach what the masters of this tradition have taught us. And sometimes we do it just by hearing. Like, for example, one of my favorite musicians is Michael Hedges, who he tragically died in a car accident almost 30 years ago. But I got to see him in concert once. And he was doing these amazing things, like he was slapping the neck with his hand to make harmonics and making noise with the sides of the guitar. And once I tried to play one of his songs, it was like, no, you can't do that, because he had taken the tuning of all of the strings and changed it. Like he was doing guitar, but it was something that was completely different from what I had ever experienced before. And we have that in Buddhism too, right? You can be a Buddhist who is completely atheist, right? That you're only listening to the messages that are here. And you can be theistic or polytheistic or mystical or spiritual. Any of these different ideas, there are traditions and there are teachings that will allow you to go in a different direction. And so we can sit with other Buddhists and recognize that at the very core, right, it's still the same guitar, but we can make it sound so many different ways. If you are interested in guitar at all, I highly recommend going to YouTube and listening to Andres Segovia, who is probably the virtuoso of the last 100+ years on classical guitar. And if you type in Segovia interview, the first thing that pops up is an interview with him in English, where he talks about the fact that the guitar is the only instrument that he has found that can sound like so many other instruments. And he sits there, and in 3 minutes, he makes it sound like a cello, he makes it sound like a piano. He has these styles that have absorbed so much of the capability of this instrument. And you can be a virtuoso Buddhist, right? That's the path of sages, right? You can go deeply into one aspect of Buddhism, right? That you can read the entire Chinese canon. You can read and interpret this and become a PhD and get, and become a scholar and a religious leader in that aspect. You can be a generalist and just kind of play along with everything else. And then we also have especially in the tradition of Jodo Shinshu, we have this idea of a myokonin, right? Somebody who isn't like a little Buddha, like somebody who doesn't necessarily practice this religion, doesn't have the lyrics down, but they can wing it, right? They're very good at making making something good, at improvising being a good person, right? That they're good just because they're good. I think that's one of the things that's really important to understand about Buddhism, that we have so many different ways to look at this, and that the best teachers can impart a little piece of this. Right? We have this term called upaya, skillful means. The Buddha was so good at teaching Buddhism to an individual that he had 84,000 different ways of teaching. He knew what you needed at that one time. And if you have a really good music teacher, they teach you that one thing that you're missing, right? They can see the whole in your understanding of this and teach you. But there's no mastery, there's no completion of this, right? We have we call it in psychology as the Dunning-Kruger complex, right? When you start with something, you think, I'm so good at this, right? And then you realize the further you go down the road, you're not really that good. And I think especially like a lot of people who are converts have this one moment of thinking like, wow, this is really great and it's coming to me so quickly and I'm absorbing all of this information. Like, maybe I could be the one that's enlightened, right? And there's a saying about how when you first approach Buddhism, the first year, the Buddha is this close to you. And then every year it gets a little bit further away, right? One of the things that we understand in Jodo Shinshu is perfection is so far away for us that we don't try to build up our egos by becoming perfect. We understand the limitations of what we have. I'm never going to be a good guitarist. Like, I am probably never going to actually feel comfortable even doing like a talent show. So don't wait until New Year's for me to come out with a guitar. But I can appreciate the lessons that I have here, and I start to appreciate the people who are very good, and try to emulate the ones that I really, really genuinely appreciate. And by doing that, occasionally I have this moment where it clicks, and I go, oh, now I get it, right? That to me is as close as I can put together in my head of what the idea of Shinjin is, right? You hear this music over and over again. You hear these messages over and over again. And at one point, you go, oh, now I get it, right? It is so simple a message, but it is so profound. And it is something that you have to reflect upon and that you have to practice in order to understand. And the way that you do that so often is by literally depending on the people that came before you, the people that are around you to help guide you to that direction. So just like I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be a Buddha, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be a very good guitarist, no matter how much that I try. And fortunately, I have Jodo Shinshu to fall back on to tell me that it's okay that I'm not one of these or the other of these, but that it's still okay to try. And that's the message that I have for today. So thank you for coming. Please enjoy this beautiful day, and please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 namanda.
Thank you, Reverend May. That was a wonderful Dharma talk. Do we have any general announcements?
Good morning. This is a reminder that Bonadori is 13 days away. So all of you out there watching via YouTube who have not signed up to volunteer, please do so sooner than later. Also make sure that your friends and family get the message that it takes a Sangha to put on our Bonadori. So always looking for new faces and new friends to reconnect. Obong is a time for us to reconnect, and it's one of the best things about being at the temple and seeing families and friends that we don't get to see on a regular basis, fly back in, come back on a weekend where we get to just have fun and enjoy what is great about being in the city at that moment in time. So sign up early, sign up soon, 13 days. Thanks.
We are also having a book study group on Saturday, August 2nd at 9:30 a.m., likely in the dining room. Once again, we're continuing to read our book called Cultivating Spirituality. So if you're interested, let me know and I can send you a PDF of the article that we're reading for this month. So the temple is grateful for your participation in today's service. For additional information on upcoming services, seminars, and events within the Seattle Betsuin and the Jodo Shinshu community, please see the Betsuin's website or Facebook page. This concludes the live stream of today's service. For those who have joined us online, we hope that you've enjoyed today's service and that you'll join us again next week. Have a good day.